Hey everyone, welcome back to Art of the Riff. Today we're going to be taking a look at Obituary. We're going to look at the Cause of Death album. I thought about doing Slowly Rewrite, but that's an E standard. All my guitars are currently in D, and I'm lazy. Could have tuned them up, but Cause of Death. On this album, there were so many just cool, just groovy death metal riffs. Trevor and James were really just doing some killer shit on these early albums. James went on to play with Testament. Well, before he did that, he released one album under the name Disincarnate. Killer riffs. The riffs on that album were riffs he was using for Cause of Death, but the band, for some reason or another, decided not to use those riffs, so he used those in Disincarnate. Then he did an album or two. He did two albums. He did Low, actually three. He did Low, a live album, and The Gathering with Testament. And that same time period, he was also on Death's Spiritual Healing album, so he's been all throughout the scene on some just really killer albums. He did two solo albums, and his lead work is just very, very technical, very precise, very clinical. Not to say that there's no feeling to it, but very technical solos, which was interesting on this album because the riffs were very groovy, not like tech death, but the solos were very technical on top of that. So it was like a very cool dynamic shift. All right, so we're going to go ahead and dive into it now. We're going to start with Chopped in Half, then we're going to look at Cause of Death, and a few riffs from Body Bags. So this first riff, it's the intro section of Chopped in Half. There's just some cool riffs going into it. Let's go ahead and check it out. That beginning riff is kind of like a death metal version of Symphony of Destruction, but Symphony of Destruction came out later. It just makes me think of it because it's the same kind of chord progression. Anyway, that was Chopped in Half. Let's go on to Cause of Death now. In that riff, you got to hear some of the cool stuff they would do with like the slower riffs, and then like the chords, he would do like dyad chords, but the fifth would be below the root in the bass. So yeah, just killer ass riffs. Now we're gonna go ahead and check out Body Bags. The intro is very, like, even the drumming really has this Slayer kind of vibe to it. The riffs have a Slayer vibe to it. Even when we get to the fast section we're gonna do, you could hear that was the inspiration, if you ask me. Anyway, here we go. Let's check out the first part of Baggy Bag. The Baggy Bags. Let's check out the first part of Body Bags. Okay, we're about to go check out the faster section now. I think what's really cool about the Obituary riffs is the trim riffs. It's an interesting way, like, And they do it in so many different type of ways. It's an interesting way of taking a chord progression, one riff, mutating it, changing it, and just really exploring what that riff could do. And they do that all the time with the trim riffs. Like, it sounds like a whole new riff, but it's actually just the same chord progression. So it's a really cool dynamic for your writing. If you're looking to explore this type of music, try that with your riffs. Now let's do the fast section. All right, so there you go. That's it. That's Obituary. That's the Cause of Death album. You know, if you haven't heard it before, go check. If you haven't heard Disincarnate, check that out, because Disincarnate was a huge, just killer, amazing album, and it leads right into Testament. So you could hear that transition into that. So anyway, yeah, badass band, Obituary, badass lead work from James Murphy, and I'll see you guys in the next one.